Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for tuning in. I wanted to take some time this afternoon to kind of get everybody going in the right direction on their LinkedIn profiles. As through my work on LinkedIn, that it's incredibly important that we build consistent profiles. One of the things and the biggest problems I see in service members and veterans is that, their profile doesn't tell a consistent story, meaning your profile picture through your headline, through your about or summary section, and then down to the experience. They don't all align to what you want to do. So I want to take a few minutes to talk about that. I want to show you a new tool, the interview preparation tool that LinkedIn rolled out, show you how to get to that, and then take some time. If you comment in, I'll take a look at some profiles and give you some on-the-spot feedback for what I see on your profile. And so let's talk about that profile for a second. So when we talk about what we want to do, really that's the hardest part. I mean, so anybody can figure out how to create a profile. You put enough work in, you can get enough data down there and be all-star, as LinkedIn puts it. But the story is, can you tell a consistent story? Can you be clear and articulate what you want to do and why we would consider you for those roles? And so when I start looking at profiles and start breaking it down for individuals, I want to make sure that they're clear on the fundamental parts of that. And so, I'll be honest, it all starts out with the picture. I know you've seen me post this about recently, but your picture should be a picture of you smiling. Some people say they can't smile, but you can always smile, or at least looking pleasant. And it should be dressed for the job you want, right? So you want to work on Wall Street, it's the dark blue suit, crisp white shirt, red power tie, or equivalent attire. If you want to work in Silicon Valley and you can code, you can wear the Star Wars t-shirt, board shorts, Crocs, you get where I'm going with it. There's the wide ends of the spectrum. There's everything in between. But unless you want to be a commercial fisherman, no picture of you holding the fish. That should go without saying. If you don't want to be, a ski instructor, not up on the mountain with your ski gear on, unless you want to deploy overseas, not a picture of you at your favorite deployment photo. And so it's really just taking a time to put that consistent picture. And I know Microsoft offices, Microsoft stores are actually giving free LinkedIn headshots right now. They have it all set up for you with that crisp white background. Super cool, worth going there and checking them out. But, honestly, you could just have somebody take a picture of you dressed in the attire you want. Should be head and shoulders, ideally. No family in the picture. Family could be a discriminator in the private sector. So we want to make sure we take that out of the equation and, just give it your best shot. Now, aside from that, there should be a background image. And you can kind of see mine has the LinkedIn top voices up here. But really, you could just Google LinkedIn background images, go to the images tab, add a few other words to kind of just mill it out. It could be either human resources, people, computers, whatever not. And find a picture that resonates with you. And then all you have to do is click this little pencil here. And then click this pencil up here to add the picture. And so obviously, I'm not going to change mine right now. But that's the easy way to do it. And I'll tell you, once you change your profile and get rid of the blue screen when you connect the white dots, it makes an absolute change to your profile. I mean, you can never look at the blue screen when you connect the white dots again. So the next part is when we go down to your headline. A lot of people get this wrong. Obviously, your profile is your own. So when I say it's wrong, it's only from my perspective. If you're happy with what it says, by all means, go with it. But one of the things I like to say is that when we take a look at your picture, we should get an image. And we should also be, taking a look at, people are messaging me, obviously they're not watching. And we should take a look at your profile and get a quick snapshot, right? So there's that picture, the background image, and then there's your headline and where you are. And they're the two other main characteristics. And that's all what you really see when you do a search on a mobile device as well. So I say that headline should really, in 120 characters or less, give us, an understanding of what you want to do and why we should consider you for those roles, right? So that's why it's important that you actually do your research, you talk to people, you figure out what you want to do for your career so you can articulate that clearly. Now, for me, you can see I led with the 2-time LinkedIn top voice. It's a big part of my professional identity. I worked very hard to get to that point, and I'm blessed that people find what I have to say valuable enough to give me that honor by LinkedIn. But, then you move through to the people advising you services. That's my, job at EY. That's what I focus on. It's the primary focus point for my professional identity, everything having to do with people, human capital, and then branding, right? So it's clear. And I've added the veteran programs because that's something I'm very interested in staying involved in, and then my clearance. I will say that clearances are very important to add. There is nothing wrong with it. If any of your security managers say that you're not allowed to, I will tell you they're probably dinosaurs and not on social media at all. 24-year counterintelligence agent here. There's nothing classified about putting your clearance on there. Just don't list anything classified in your profile. Don't list any special access program, stuff like that. But I will tell you that companies actually do search for clearances because if you don't have the clearance, they got to bring you on board and then process you for the clearance, and you can't work during that time. So it really doesn't make much sense then from a cost benefit standpoint. So we've got your photo, your background image. We've got your headline, which is the most important 120 characters of text on your profile. I always tell people, as an example, if you're going to put project manager, and I know a lot of service members want to do that, then you should put project manager and list what industries you have experience in. So it might be project manager, construction, engineering, training, logistics. You get where I'm going with that. If you're going to put training manager, maybe you want to start listing the types of training you've been involved in, whether it's classroom facilitation, whether it's distance learning, whether it's learning management systems, whether it's curriculum development. You get where I'm going. So you really want to kind of dial that in so we can take a glance and figure out why we would consider you for the role. So then to stay consistent, at your about section down here, the about section, otherwise known as your summary, should really, I like to see it give us the scope of your experience and what you tell us in the headline. So if you're going to tell us a project manager, then you should tell us the scope of your experience as a project manager. You should say how many years, how large are the projects, how many people, what types of projects. You get where I'm going with this, right? You don't have to go too crazy. I'm not a big fan of just adding those keywords down the bottom just to be the bottom. But if you really want to go in depth, I actually told a story of mine. And I actually don't know how many people actually read the whole thing because you really only get the top 3 lines. So that's where your focus point on. But you notice I have the number of years of experience and the number of employees on there. So it's something to keep in mind. Now, what I will say for you transitioning service members out there is that you should paint this picture when you're looking up here in these top 3 lines to show that you have the experience necessary for the job you're looking. You want to brand yourself as a professional in your chosen field that has the experience for the jobs you want, right? I will share that in my opinion, that if a job says requires 7 to 10 years experience, you saying you have 24 or 30 years of experience does not make you more qualified for that role. Because in reality, you have 20 to 30 years of experience in an industry, the defense industry, right? You don't have 20 to 30 years of experience in that role. And they're looking for somebody that has experience in a specific role, right? And knowing that people continue to progress throughout your careers, you actually saying that you have 20 years of experience in a role that only requires 7 to 10 might mean you're either a little stale, maybe you're a little over-experienced, or maybe a little bit expensive. And that's something that could all throw a wrench in the gears. So let's just, I always tell people to brand yourself for the jobs you want. And you can easily figure out what that is. If you're looking at job descriptions out there, you find the right level that you're pursuing. You'll see there tends to be a somewhat similar, qualification requirements for those jobs. So if you're seeing 6 to 8, 7 to 10, whatever, then you could just say you have over 10 years of experience, go back 10 years in your experience section, and just articulate how good you are at that job. So that takes us down to the experience section itself. So when you go to the experience section itself, you really want to articulate what you're doing and your role. So I'll go back down to my last one that I really spent a lot of time on. Obviously I'm still at EY right now, but this is my last job at ProSphere. And I did it as I was leaving ProSphere because I didn't want to potentially put too much information on what I was doing at the company while I was still there. Could be something that potentially other competitors could use in their pursuits or whatnot. And that's why I won't do the same thing for EY. But when I go down to my program, my job at ProSphere, you'll see I talk about the scope of my experience, and then I went through all my accomplishments, and I made sure to include them with numbers or quantified accomplishments as much as possible. But for you guys, that most of you that are following me, you want to look at the Army stuff, right? So this is my last job in the Army, Director of Workforce Management and Operations Sergeant Major, right? So I was a G3 Sergeant Major at INSCOM, right here. And so, this is where, what a G3 Sergeant Major does, or a lot of you do, right? This is where I wanted to go into the human capital, into the workforce management sector, so I cut things down to just reflect the HR human capital related accomplishments, things that show that I would be a good fit for that role. I mean, you don't see anything in there about all the major ceremonies I had to plan and some of the other crazy things you do as a G3 Sergeant Major, but you do see the things that align directly with what I do now, to be honest. And so as you go back, here I was, when we talk about translating titles, right? You got to make sure that these titles are aligned with something that resonates in the private sector. So G3 Sergeant Major is not a job in the private sector, but people understand what that is right there. And if the roles align, it's the same. At DIA, I was the senior enlisted advisor for the Army element, right? So I was the Sergeant Major for the Army element there at DIA. Well, senior enlisted advisor doesn't really exist in the private sector, so I translated it. So I was actually in OHR3 in the HR section. That's where we're based out of. So I changed it as a senior human resource manager and talked about the same things. You can see here things that align directly with the field that I'm in. And then as I was a battalion CSM out in Japan, you can see I articulated as a senior program manager, right? And you can see the consistent thread here, right? Where I'm talking about a lot of the employee engagement, the HR related stuff, and so forth, right? So, just something to keep in mind as you're working on your profiles. Now, before I go and take a couple profiles to take a look at you guys, what I'd like to actually do is show you a new tool on LinkedIn that I was just blown away by. And that's their new interview preparation tool. And what's exciting about this, and I'm going to try to get to it, is in a second, is that you can actually record yourself preparing for interviews, and then go ahead and when you get the right one, you can go watch a video, learn how to answer a specific question, record yourself answering that question, and then share it privately with a first degree connection and have them actually give you feedback on that video, which is so exciting to me because it's just another way to take advantage and build a fantastic network of mentors, but then to be able to leverage that to improve your own career aspirations. So to get to the new tool, all you have to do is go to jobs, go to more resources right here, and prepare for an interview. I mean, how cool is this? So it's got 26 questions, right? Down here, 26 questions. You can actually sort by other categories. I think they only have, a couple different categories right now, but they're going to keep adding to them over time. And then over here, you can watch. So if I want to say, tell me about yourself, you can watch this short video right here. You can see an example of somebody actually doing it, a career strategist. But then here's where it is: practice and get feedback. So you can actually record a video. And then, as I said, look at that. Practice over and over till you get to the right one. Share your answer with a connection and improve with feedback. I mean, if you aren't taking advantage of this and you're transitioning from the service and have not been to any real job interviews before, you're really losing out. So do everything you can to make yourself the best candidate. You may have the best set of experience. You may have the best tools, the best education, but if you go in there and you bungle the interview, too many acronyms or saying things that the people don't understand or just aren't comfortable, then you're probably not going to get that job. So with that being said, I'm going to come on over here to the HireMilitary page, and I'm going to see if I can check out what people have said that they want me to check out their profiles. So here we are. Let's see. Oh, that's a lot of comments. Okay, so we got Chris, we got Karen. See, if you want me to take a look at your profile, please comment. Just comment, please look at my profile, Mike. And I'm looking down here now. Tasmania, Australia. That's kind of cool. let's see. Really need feedback. Okay, Latasha Whitting. Let's do this. All right, Latasha, you need some feedback. So I would tell you, first of all, obviously, I would get rid of the blue screen and connect the white dots. I would do a background image, so maybe something that aligns with education. You can, either do books, a classroom, whiteboard, whatever, something that resonates with how you take your pictures. I would also probably not have somebody crop you out of you cropped out part of this picture. That shows that you haven't really taken the time, to me, that you haven't taken the time to just put up a professional looking profile. It's a fantastic smile, but I would probably look at one that, dressed as you would as an education consultant. And then, actually, this doesn't tell me anything. I really don't know what an education consultant is. So right now, I'm kind of like, now you're going to make me have to search to figure out what it means. Whereas some people might not want to scroll down. So, okay, great. So here you see education consultant here. And then I looked at your first job and it's media specialist. And so I would want to see a more consistent message here as to what your professional identity. Are you an education consultant? Are you teaching media? Are you teaching media engagement? Right? And then I come down here, it says training and development professional who has worked with staff in diverse settings in a variety of ones. So no real, nothing really here to tell me about the scope of your experience. I do like that you added the cognitive behavioral intervention and integrated education training, but I would like to see where you've done it, number of people trained, number of years of experience. I'd like to see a little bit more scope here. So, because if it's not here, I'm not going to scroll down. So when I looked at the profile on a first try, I would probably not scroll down to see more. I would just say there's not enough here. But if I come down here, so we've got media specialists. Again, you don't tell me anything what you do there. I do see reading interventionist, and I'm guessing that's the job title. If there's an actual company page, I'd want to see that here. And I'd like to see, more about what kind of numbers, what kind of experience you have here, what kind of results you've gotten. This is all just, what your job was, not what you did, right? And so I like to tell people to treat this like your master resume. You should have all those bullets in there right now. And so I do see, going back some way, some of the right experience. I don't think you need to go back to 98. I would probably focus going back to what stuff aligns with what you want to do. But that's going to be up to pick on that check. Just select that. And then as I come down here, you did a great job. You did the years off here. I'll tell you I do that. And you've got any degrees. Yep. So Latasha, hopefully that helps you out a little bit. I'm going to move on to the next one to get a couple people in here. All right, let's see. Next one. All right, let's see. A lot of people saying hello. Well, let's check out Frederick because he says what he's looking for. So you see Frederick says he's looking for a senior level talent acquisition partner or a management position. So I would say that, if you're looking, okay, so there's a big difference between partner and manager. I just want to throw that out there. So when you say you're looking for either, it automatically makes me question whether you have a level of experience. So again, blue screen may connect the white dots. Oh, geez. Okay, so Frederick, so let's talk about this for a while. You say you're a senior talent acquisition leader, business partner. I mean, that's okay, but we'll see what the rest is connecting. I would like to see a smile here. Nothing wrong with the outfit, except is that what you would expect a talent acquisition leader to wear? Just something to throw out there. Then you say, so here we go. So you say you want to be a senior talent acquisition leader or a business partner. And then you say you're a highly accomplished leader with over 20 years of diversity, leadership, developing, coaching. I don't see anything here. In talent acquisition. So I think that's where we start talking about there being inconsistency there, right? And then we come down here. Okay, so U.S. Army retired veteran. So So 6 years of retirement as vacation time to me. Not saying you don't deserve it. I did 24 years myself, but I wouldn't call that vacation time. You might want to see, you might want to phrase that a little differently. And then, okay, so the last time you worked was as a senior talent acquisition HR manager. So you directed a recruiting company. So I will tell you, and you have looks like here you have some reserve time. So you have some senior acquisition, talent acquisition consulting experience. Okay. Hey, Frederick, you're really gonna have to reorganize this. You're gonna have to make one of these, move these up so we see your experience. See why I was confused right there? It looks like you've been retired for 6 years, the most recent one. You're gonna have to come up here and start articulating these. I would take out this retired veteran piece completely, so that this will drop down to the regular area to 2013, and then I would see your experience here for the corporate role. I still don't, honestly, I don't see partner in your experience. You're looking at, 3-4 years after being, it looks like after being in the military. I may be wrong. I'm not an expert in the recruiting field, but I do know that our senior recruiters typically have quite a bit more corporate experience in there. I would take out the years on the degrees. And then Boy Scouts is fine, and you're good down there. So I think the big one is going to be getting rid of this U.S. Army retired veteran. Obviously, retired is not a great word for somebody that wants to work. I would take that out. And honestly, you probably just got to remove it completely, and then everything will line up a lot better and tell a better story. But just make sure we get over how many years of experience in talent acquisition, what types of talent acquisition, and what kind of results and roles you have. Go back over here. Let's see what else we have here. Who's next? Do one or two more for people that says they would like to be their profile. How long? Oh, well, here's one from David. He says, how early should I start putting my resume out there? I don't know what putting my resume out there really means. I'm not a big fan of posting a general resume on LinkedIn. I would say that the hiring window is typically 2, maybe 3 months from the day you start working. So I would focus on building networks and leveraging those networks to line up with jobs so that you'll be ready to start applying, or they'll have opportunities ready for you at that 2 to 3 month mark. Okay, let's see. Scroll on down. I'll probably do one or two more. Samuel, I am not offering a Q&A except for the comments here, which I'm going through right now. So I guess I am. Let's move on down. Okay, so somebody said something about expired clearance shows the ability to get a clearance. Mark, I would say that I'm assuming Chris said something about expired clearance being worthless. I would tend to agree, whichever Chris said that. At the end of the day, whether you had a clearance or not, if it's gone, we still have to resubmit you for everything. So it really doesn't do much. I need someone with a clearance. It's like if a requirement is a degree and you say you're pursuing a degree, I mean, that doesn't do anything for us. You either have a clearance or you don't. Because every time we submit somebody for a clearance, our security officer reviews them and gives us an estimate based on the EPSQ, whether or not they're going to be eligible for, and whether they believe, based on what they've submitted, that they would be eligible for an interim clearance and what the likelihood of that would be. And if not, you're talking about maybe 6 months or more for a secret clearance and probably 18 months for a top secret. Okay. Mark, you probably should check my profile. How about that? Indianapolis. So James, I think Anthony Gilbert works a lot. You have to check it out, but you can actually search for Lockheed Martin. And then if you do an actual search, so let's do it here. I'm going to add another page here. I'm going to come over here. So for James, if you do a search, and you can just hit the enter bar in the search bar, and you do, you want people, and you want current company, Lockheed Martin. apply, and then all filters, past company, U.S. Navy. I saw that you're Navy, apply, boom. There's over 1,000 people at Lockheed Martin that were in the Navy. And you can even filter by location. So where was James at? James, I don't know where you're at. Let's see. James is in the San Diego area. So you can add location, San Diego, greater San Diego area. Let's see if there's any there. James, there's your 56 results. So that's 56 Lockheed Martin employees that used to be in the Navy in your area. You can start reaching out to every one of them and ask for coffee, phone call, whatever. I'd probably start off with somebody like Simeon here. Sounds like that would be his job, to be a network for you guys. So let me get out of that for a second. Let's see if there's any more. I'll probably do one more profile, and then I got to roll, guys. I got dinner and family to take care of. Scroll on down. I don't know. Let's see. I don't see anybody saying, please choose me. So Noel or Noel. So your problem is how can I bring both my infantry and aviation background together? The problem is you are looking backwards, not forwards, right? And the key is not to bring all your background experience together. The key is to figure out what you want to do, and then pull the thread and start pulling that background information in to show why you'd be good for those roles. And let's see if there's one more. And yeah, I've never heard of nonprofits offering to get clearances either, but that's okay. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. All right. Looking down, I don't see anybody. I guess there's a lot of comments here, but I like it. Thanks, Sheila, for offering. I know a lot of people should be clicking on that thread. A lot of good. So it all comes down to, this is my hint that it's time for me to get going. But it all comes down, like Hurtis said, although Hurtis, I would capitalize your first letters of your name. It comes down to not what you need to drop. It comes down to what he wants to do. So if he wants to work in a training role, then maybe that infantry experience is something that's more aligned. Hold on, buddy. Give me 1 second. This is like that CNN episode. So one more, and then we're out of here. I got it. Hold on, buddy. I'll be right there. Okay, well, I don't see anybody saying take a look at my profiles. I'm going to go back and look at one more. Maybe they didn't ask. Okay, so let's look at Kofi. So Kofi says he's transitioning, looking for information security opportunities, right? So is that what you see there? I don't see anything there that says information security. So he says looking for information security operations. So first things first, background image, the photo, I really can't see you. Not exactly sure that it's aligned with the information security piece. So I would actually get rid of the transitioning service member and talk about your information security experience. And then I would, I'm guessing you're looking for him in the Savannah area. I would actually, if you're looking to Richmond, I would change your location to Richmond, Virginia area. And then down here, in your about section, I don't see anything in here that really says about information security. So I'd focus on the number of years of experience you have in information security and why we should consider you for those roles, right? Types of roles, type of experience, number of programs. I really got to go, guys. So I'm going to finish this one's up. So I've got here, you did a good job of adding it. I don't like the all caps. I would take that down a little bit. But I would want to see what your experience is. I see the certificates, but I don't see anything that says that you did anything with information security, right? Be consistent about the letter text case. I see here this, Sure Express, no caps, all caps here, kind of looks a little off-putting, not as professional. But, and then I see cybersecurity exams. I don't know why that's not in your profile. I would probably talk about cybersecurity, information security. It looks like you have a great educational background. Might want to highlight that a little bit more in your summary. And yeah, we should be good. So Again, let's talk about these. If you should actually have the capital C and the capital A there. Let's be consistent because it does, when there's a lot of inconsistencies in your grammar, I know it seems small, but it does potentially show that you may not be detail oriented. All right, that's it. I know I got to roll. I got a little guy here saying it is time to go play. And so thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you spending some time on a Sunday afternoon with me. We will do these more often, and we will do them either in the evenings or on the weekends from the HireMilitary page. I've got Chris Thorne and Matt Quick. They're going to start doing them as well. So have a great rest of your weekend, and we look forward to talking to you again really soon. All right, everybody. Bye. Daddy. Dada. Daddy.